everyone, and this is no exaggeration, everyone was saying, God, you're so lucky to have such a wonderful daughter. You know, she was so outgoing.
I've lost my husband, the children have lost their father, I've lost the chance of having another baby.
She had such potential. She was beautiful, she was talented, all that is gone. It's just been taken and thrown away.
Cleaned the house Saturday, cleaned everything off, took down the whole lot, just something to keep myself busy.
Good, you're keeping well. Good. Sharon's told me all about you. So she has. Sharon just like
You're here to celebrate the life of your loved one, not the way they died, and you're here with good company. The provision of this service within the community here is essential, and believe me, there's a lot more people affected by this particular type of death than you may think. You're part of a family here that really understand and really appreciate what you're all going through. If we can help you at all within the Niamh Louise Foundation, we will do that.
So who's this? What did you call her?
Lucy.
Lucy? Did Brenda get you that? Hey?
You gotta pump it up. And there's axe and nose in there.
Axe and nose, oh this,
There's
look at
like
this one.
we...
Oh my God. It'll do for the baby. You're my sunshine. This here's the children when they were first born. And then that's Niamh just before she was 14 in that, her school uniform.
I knew her from the age of 7. When I look back at our own children now and think, you know, well, what am I doing with our own children now? Did I do that with Niamh? And yes, you know, to me, she was more than just a stepdaughter.
That's just a family photograph. And you can see then she was very happy-go-lucky. When Niamh was born, I took her to the GP. She had asthma. We got that sorted out. She had eczema. We got that treated. No one ever told me that your child could die by suicide. We're a real rural area. We found it very difficult to relate to people. We wanted somebody local to be able to comfort us, and not even our GP or clergy could do that for us.
Suicide wasn't looked upon as something to help people with in them days, and that's only going back 4 years ago. We tried different people, and the doctors tried to help, the schools, our own families and stuff, but no one could tell us the real reasons why Niamh had taken her own life.
What we're trying to do, and we're finding it hard on our own as a charity, is trying to reach out to families such as us who didn't know, and at least give them the chance to look out for signs, or to go to their GP, or to go to the charity or whatever local charity they have, and so that their child can be saved. A well-known local businessman died 6 weeks ago by suicide, and his daughter works in the First Trust Bank.
It's not the money, it's the awareness.
I don't care if it was £10.
Yeah. Well, really, really.
Holy
All the bad press that the banks get is a good side to us.
Well, it's nice to give something to the local community.
Well, it's a local branch.
You know,
Contributing to the community. Thanks very much.
I think just be assured, Claire, that it'll be going to a good home, and that it'll be used in the fight against suicide within the counties of Tyrone and Armagh.
Like to raise 3,000, over 3,000 to start with.
Yeah. You think people don't care, and you think people don't be aware, but to have that shows you.
Because not one of us know whether it's going to be us.
Yeah.
You know, it could be our mother, father, daughter.
Here we go. Here we go, wee girl.
You got two, and I got one with his head.
Oh,
So
It's a long haul, and it'll be a long journey to try and get people more aware in the same league as cancer or any other illness, to spot the signs and to seek help, you know, in a preventative manner rather than as a result of a death.
she would have travelled this way here, which was one door. This, there was no floor covering here, so there's just concrete floor. So she must have, you know, there was no lights on or nothing. So I think we think that she may have used her mobile phone light to perhaps get her way through, because this was pitch darkness at this stage. She opened this door as well, which would have been locked. So there was no floor covering here either. And again, pitch darkness. You know, she must have used her phone to come through to here. We have to realise that it was perhaps around 4 o'clock in the morning when she decided to go out. It was pitch black outside. It was -4 degrees. And the foggiest morning, I think it was for 3 days, that the fog was just thick in Northern Ireland. Niamh would have taken this path here and down the stairs out to the outer door. And again, we never heard anything going down the steps or nothing. You know, what were we supposed to hear it?
You'll notice this has not even been
Very
hung up
emotional.
yet because we're waiting on Brian to put the thing up.
One day.
She has beautiful eyes, very expressive eyes, beautiful brown eyes.
You'll just melt anybody the hardest of hearts.
And she didn't have this huge wardrobe to select things from, but she had a great ability to make herself look.
Like a supermodel,
Yeah.
except not anorexic.
We had the family portrait taken. And
I was unhappy
stuff.
because I had to stand on a box.
They made Andrew stand on a box because...
Even just after the portrait, just after they had taken the photograph, Martha turned around to me and says, "Dad," she says, "of all the couple of hundred dads that are here," says, "you would have to be the country yokel. You're the only one with a jumper on you." And it was just a normal family, right up to the 22nd. She got her results that morning. I knew she wasn't too happy about some of her results. And we were trying to comfort her. We said, well, look, the time you done your exams, she had
glandular fever.
Glandular fever. I says, if you're unhappy with it, I says, you can reset it. And she perked up at that. Dad being dad, nodded off for 40 winks. Next thing I woke, she was dressed, she was going out to celebrate with her friends.
When Martha came home that morning and I put her to bed, like, she was fairly drunk. And the only thing Martha said to me was, Mum. And I just put her to bed and I thought, that's great, they're all home, they're all safe.
I got up early the next morning and there was an animal that was sick. I had a look at it, came back down, Sheila was up, and I knew she was worried.
And I noticed Martha's bedroom door open, and I thought, that's odd, you know, like, she doesn't usually leave her door open, and I went in and she wasn't in her bed. So I came out and I checked the sitting room and I checked to see had she gone down to Laura's room, and I thought, Jesus, and I started ringing her because she doesn't go anywhere without her phone.
And for some reason, I said, right, I'll go up and check in the yard. Now I know Martha had a great fear of cattle. She hated cattle, full stop. I don't know what made me walk to the upper side of the yard. The gate was closed, everything looked normal, but as I walked up, I copped the pin was out of the gate. And the cattle were in that field. I said, she wouldn't have went in. She wouldn't have went to that shed. Went in, closed the gate behind me. I thought I could hear just about make out a telephone ringing, and I knew Sheila had been ringing her telephone. It was about 30 foot to the door. I think I'd done it in about 3 steps. Seen the chain was off, knew she was in it, opened the door. And I think I took about a 12-foot step on one stride to support her. I'm a qualified first aider. First thing was really get the pressure off, check for her heartbeat, and at the same time as doing 99 on the mobile phone. I had the sense to hit the loudspeaker because it's supporting her. She was still kind of warm. I wanted to see if I could get a pulse. The operator was on, the phone had fallen. I was shouting down at the phone, saying who I was, where I was, what had happened. And I could hear the operator saying, is this hoax call? And I said, no, God damn it, no. And at that, I always remember the operator saying, we'll pinpoint your signal will be helped there in a couple of minutes. As she was, I knew she was dead. I came back down. The hardest part was walking from the cattle grid up to the house without making, Sheila was standing at the sitting room window, without making eye contact. Came into the back. Break the news to Sheila. I woke her elder sister, Laura. She was down within seconds. To break that news to your family. And your world's turned upside down.
There's a milking parlour across the road, and that's our alarm clock. It goes off at 7. But Niamh was our alarm clock. Before that, she would be up and dressed and out before me. I jumped up out of the bed, and I nearly swear Niamh was telling me to get up. And I bounded up them, took nearly 2 stairs at a time, and ran into the bedroom. And the bedroom was just completely tidied, which wasn't like Niamh. There was a note on her bed, and it was had death related. My heart sunk, absolutely sunk. So I chased through absolutely every room, and there was no sign of her. And James said, well, check outside, it's frosty. Maybe she went outside, we'd gotten wee kittens. It was her job to look after the kittens. And they were squealing. And I opened the utility room door and I says, no, the kittens are there. And James says, well, check outside. Maybe she went outside to get something for the kittens. I went to get the key for the back door, and I just heard James scream. Oh, I ran straight to her and just threw my arms around her. The whole trust element you have with anybody goes, because I trusted her impeccably. You know, I gave my heart to her. The fear element that we had in here was unreal. I don't think we went upstairs for about 1.5 years.
The man's supposed to be the one that keeps the whole thing together. You know, I didn't want to look outside into the dark. I didn't want to open a curtain at night time. I certainly couldn't face the location where she died.
I thought, as a parent, like, you know your kids. The bedrooms is their own private space. After Martha's death, I went in. I wanted to see if there was a note left. That was the first time I ever looked in her diary. A few days beforehand, she had an entry in her diary. She had her whole life laid out, what she wanted to do. These were her goals. She was more grown up than I thought she was.
Afterwards, I was sitting here one evening and I was so angry. I could have gone up to the graveyard and with my own hands dug Martha up just to ask her why. Just to say, why did you do this thing? Why could you not speak to us? And that's the big thing, it's the why.
3 simple letters, but it's one you never get the answer. I was angry that you'd done it. Why did you do it? Why could you not talk to me or mother? And then talking to people who had attempted it, I started to learn the world seems to close down around them. It's like a funnel. The darkness just closes in. There's just this one light at the end. That is their time. I have to end my life. Everything stops. They cut off their emotions, but the effects would be to their family. They just think, I have to die.
This here's the poem that Niamh wrote before she died. We didn't know about it until after she died, and the policewoman gave it to us. And while it's very poignant, you know, it's also very hard to believe that a 15-year-old could write such an in-depth poem.
The poem's called Remember, and you know, if you actually read the verses in it, where it says, you know, that she's cried all her tears, but you know, she wants us to inspire others, and that was one of the main reasons why we set the charity up, to, you know, to inspire and to create and to draw and to learn in life. And she basically told us to enjoy life again. You know, sing, dance, laugh, you know, and just to go on and inspire others. And I think it's important when people do come into the house that, you know, that's our mission statement now with the charity. I might have to rip this bag up, what did I say? You got a good hold of him now, Sheila, have you?
I have, yeah.
This is our fourth resource centre now that we've opened up in. We're in Coal Island, Dungannon, Cookstown, and now in Rich Hill. And we hope by moving in here that we can offer a little bit of support, a bit of awareness, a bit of prevention. We not look at our watch and say our time's up or your time's up. You'll not have to book an appointment, okay? And we've also got the backup of the Lifeline project, which is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that Lifeline project is there for everyone. It's a community-based project that if anyone who is vulnerable, lonely, suicidal, or in need of help, that we can provide that.
The morning that I was getting married, the limousine, the Rolls Royce was sitting outside, and I hadn't my bag packed to go on honeymoon. My overnight bag wasn't packed. So I ended up, I was half an hour late then for my wedding. And when I was going up the steps that day, I forgot my bouquet of flowers. So in the wedding video, it shows the chauffeur running up after me with my bouquet, and like I put a lot of money into my flowers, and he had forgot to take them up. Saturday morning, I got up and made the breakfast, and Tony actually drove Aaron to football. And at lunchtime that day, Paddy rang his friend, and he sat out on the summer seat out there talking about what work he was going to do all the next week. And Aaron said that day that I was ironing, and Aaron was over in the kitchen and Tony was about, and Tony turned around and Tony said to Aaron, "You don't know how much I love you." So Aaron, and then we said we would take the dogs for a walk, and a woman that Tony painted for that lives over the road, she actually seen us walking from her kitchen window that evening. And she's actually said to me different times, I looked out and the 4 of yous were coming with the dogs on a lovely Saturday evening. Tony showered Amy that night, and he washed her hair and showered her. And Amy said that he made her sit on his knee, and he was saying to her, "I love you, and you're my bestest girl, and you're gorgeous." We were to go to Bundoran the next day with the picnic to take the children to the amusements. And I had said to him that night when we were upstairs, "What are you wearing tomorrow, Tony?" And he says, "Probably a shirt and a pair of jeans." "Come on, we'll pick one." Tony was a painter and decorator, and he was very, very particular. He was so particular, he was immaculate. And I went to his wardrobe and I pulled out a blue one that he hadn't worn for a while, but there was a wee mark on the collar of it. And he said, "Sharon," he says, "I can't wear that." He said, "There's a mark on it." And I turned around and I said, "Tony, who would see that?" I says, "Don't be silly." We came down here and I had put stuff in the oven. We always made something nice on a Saturday night. And Mr. and Mrs. was on that night. And me and him were answering the questions for each other. But I thought we were as happy as can be. The next thing then, he was watching this film, staring at the TV, and I says, "Tony," I says, "you can watch that film up in bed." So the next thing then I says, look Tony, I says, go you and put the dogs in and I'll turn everything off. And I went to the toilet and I came back down and Tony wasn't in. And I came walking in here to the kitchen and I looked out the door and I said the light was on out there, and I opened the door and I shouted, Tony, what's keeping you? And no answer. I went opened the door, the wee dog was running about, and I thought to myself, why is City not locked in? So I went out then. And I thought, where the hell is I? So then I went to Tony's shed and I couldn't get the door opened. I stood and I started to panic. I thought, friggin' hell. So I rang then my uncle, and Dermot then met me round the side and he says, Sharon, what's wrong? And I says, Tony's in the shed and he won't open the door. So Dermot then started banging the door. Tony, it's me, Dermot, open the door to talk to you. The door never opened. So Dermot then ripped the door off the hinges and Tony was in there. On the Sunday morning, he moved his hand for me. I was holding his hand and I said, I'm begging you, Tony. I says, if you can hear me, please do something. And I got a wee movement in the hand and I started to jump for joy. And he's coming round, he can hear me, he's coming round. Well, I'd been told to bring the children down, to let the children see that Daddy was very, very ill and that he wasn't going to get better. I sat there the whole night with him and I couldn't sleep. And the nurse kept on coming down saying, Sharon, please try and go to sleep. And I was like, I can't go to sleep. On the Monday morning then, the wee nurse was gone off, Joanne, he called her. And she said to me, come on and walk me down the corridor, Sharon. And I walked her down the corridor and I'll never forget her. And when I walked her down the corridor, she said to me, Sharon, she says, I will never forget you and Tony. And she turned around, she says, you know, Sharon, she says, I'll be back on tonight, she says. And I turned around and I says, Joanne, we won't be here tonight because I know Tony's going to die. He died at 20 to 5 on the Monday evening. After he died, I then put everybody out of the room and I wanted to spend time with my husband. I got into bed beside him and I wanted to stay there forever.
I seen things that there was something wrong as Neve's mum. But when I brought them up to anyone, I was overprotective mother. But I did see signs in her that scared me. You know, there was times when I did think there's definitely something wrong with that child. She wasn't interested in her appearance, not even washing. I can remember correcting her one day and asked her, just as you would do with the younger children, you need to change your shirt every day, you need to change your clothes every day, you need to use deodorant, you know, you need to do all of this here, which she had stopped doing. And she would become distant and sullen, and anything would annoy her.
She never felt happy about how her face was, or how her hair was, or how her figure was. She was very critical of her own looks and things, you know, and wasn't aware of how popular she was and how very beautiful she really was. You don't think, oh my God, my child is suicidal. You really don't. You just think it's teenagers being teenagers. The last 5 pictures on her phone are of herself going out that night, you know, where she's taking pictures of herself from different angles to see, does she look okay, or does she look well enough or good enough to go out? There was a message from her friend that said something along the lines of, you said you wouldn't do this, which would indicate to me that she had at some stage spoken to him about feeling suicidal. And then there's a text from another boy who she was apparently speaking to on the phone whilst she was walking up to the shed to take her own life. And even if he had come to me and said to me, you know, like that Martha has been talking this way and I'm a bit concerned, I maybe wouldn't have believed him, but I would have been a bit more aware. And I don't know that I wouldn't have believed him. I would have taken it seriously. Do you know what I mean? I would have maybe approached Martha and had a conversation with Martha, and maybe, it's all ifs, ands, buts. I don't know, I can't say this is what I would have done or that's what I would have done, but I would have listened. I would have tried to do something. I wouldn't have just brushed it aside.
The school didn't let us know as parents that Niamh was within a year where people were self-harming, that she could even be influenced by it. And it wasn't until she died that one of her friends came forward, and it was in the coffin. The undertaker, who's a close friend of the family, allowed us to see that she had self-harmed.
That was the first time
we didn't
know. We didn't know that anyone could die by suicide, certainly at 15 years of age. We didn't know that anyone could self-harm. I didn't even know what it was. There was obviously loyalty between her friends, and it got to the stage where we got a little bit angry in that, you know, why didn't they tell us?
It was just the standard sort of like a razor blade wrist thing, and then as I got older and realised, you know, it's harder to more cover up your wrist, I moved on to other parts of my body, like my chest or upper arms. That made it easier to conceal. Whenever I got like upset, frustrated, angry, whatever, it was sort of like, for lack of a better word, blood boiling. And then that pressure building up inside yourself, like say you're inflating a balloon or something, then actual cutting would let that pressure out, relieve it. It was just really, I don't care anymore sort of thing. Like I felt numb and general autopilot type feeling. Everything just sort of blah and dull, and everything around me just didn't seem the same anymore. It was just sort of going through days rather than living through them.
You sit there, it'll be grand, it'll cry, you feel it. 5 minutes later, it cries.
If you're going to a school course you don't like, you leave. I didn't like my life, I wanted to leave it. School is the main sort of, like, if you can get to them there and if you can help them with coming into the schools, that would be a great thing, because that's in my head, that's one of the main problems with young people is school. Socialising in schools, it is like, I know myself, schools are completely divided into groups, and other groups look down on certain people for, you know, whatever nationality, way you dress, whatever like music you listen to. Pressure is a lot worse than it would have been like 20 years ago, I think, because it's supposedly easier to do better nowadays. You're expected to do better, and some people just don't even have that drive.
And also about protection from what a government might do.
We'd dearly like to get into all schools and discuss it. A lot of people, highly educated people, think that we're going to come in and say to kids, well, be kids or adults or whatever, here is a great big sheet of all the ways that you can carry out the act of suicide. We're not that. It's how to recognise, understand, and where to go and seek help.
Today we're going to what is known as SIB. It's a Suicide Strategy Implementation Body. All the groups in Belfast and all over Northern Ireland are doing the work on the ground, are trying to fundraise, are reacting accordingly and getting the work done while we wait for evidence reporting to filter right through to government level so that they can say, oh yes, you are doing the work. But it's down to the hard facts of what government feel is value for money, and that just cuts me. You know, how do you value life? How do you put monetary value against somebody's life?
Okay, everybody, you're all very welcome to the meeting today. Just very quickly, to run through the agenda before we take the minutes. I'll be dealing with the review of the strategy, and Catherine has raised an issue around assisted suicide that we'll discuss as well. So that's the broad agenda that we're going to follow today. If we turn now to the minutes of the meeting.
When Niamh died, there was an earthquake, and the cracks, you know, are enough to break up the whole community and devastated the whole community. And without the proper help, how do you put those pieces together? Families fall apart. You know, I don't think the government or people who are not bereaved by suicide or within the health service, within the mental health service, realise the devastation.
So difficult when you're dealing with government bodies, because they're looking at targets, they're looking at, you know, how many people we've saved, but you cannot plan for interventions, for example. You cannot plan for revisiting people to make sure they're okay, to contact people. You know, one of the main issues with even intervention training is that you create contracts with people to stay alive. How many people do we keep alive? We don't know. But if we weren't there, how many more people would have died by suicide?
Mental health is like brushed under the carpet. I don't know if Tony would have even went into a mental health place to get help because of the stigma that's attached to it. But looking back, if Tony had have went in, maybe a few weeks in there, and he could have been back to work. Everybody always says, my God, was he sick? He must have been very young. And I just say, he died by suicide. He was sick, he died by suicide. And there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. It came to my door that night at 10:30. And God only knows whose door it's coming to next. And you know, Tony wasn't the first round here, and he's not going to be the last.
You can't believe you're ever going to say those words, that your child took her own life in a complete moment of madness. To this day, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand why. Why did I not wake up? Why did I not hear her getting out of bed? Why did I not hear the door opening? What was going through her head? I can't walk up there without thinking, my child walked this way and she took her life. I've never been into the shed. I don't look that way. When I go up the yard, I don't look that way. I just look the other way. I can't look at that gate or that shed. And every time I look out that window, I see the place where my daughter took her life.
Good evening, everyone. I welcome especially Brian and Sheila and all who have come tonight to remember Martha. Time flies. But when there's an earthquake, such as came on this night 1 year ago, then what's another year? It's 12 months of the gnawing ache of why.
It's hard, isn't it, Brian?
Well, yes, cheers. Okay. Catherine, thanks very much indeed for coming down. Sure. I'll be there for more.
I'm here tonight as a bereaved mother, but also in my role as a therapist. And I lost my son Paul on the 11th of June 2007. He was 26 years old. He's a wonderful, wonderful lad, very bubbly, outgoing, very healthy. Played football every week, went training 3 times a week. And every day when I think about him, I feel his spirit. I feel that joy that he brought into our lives. You know, I see his smile. I hear him saying to me, you know, Mummy, you're doing good, you know. And that gives me strength to go on.
I can't look at a photograph. I just die if I look at it. I can't. These photographs might be lying around, but I'll just like glance and go on. But if I sit and look at it, I'll just break down. But you had sort of said, well, did they ever, do you remember we had this conversation? Did they ever exist? Were they really ever here? Was she ever really here? And I think that's the most frightening feeling.
I do look at his photograph every day. I have his photograph hanging up in the kitchen, because that's the kind of guy he was. He was a kitchen. Once I looked at his photograph, yes, I was sad and the tears would fall, but then I'd remember, you know, watching his football match when he was 14, watching his football match when he was 7. Apparently after he died, I don't remember anything about his wake, about his funeral. I don't remember any of it. I apparently walked about in his football boots in our house, clicking up and down the hall for hours and hours on end, just to get my memory back when he was young and they played football every Saturday in life, and they'd click and clump up the street, and I'd make the fry or the bacon sandwiches, and there'd be like 11 of them outside the door, and they'd all take off their dirty rigs and they'd give them to me and I would wash them. But see, now I find that such a comfort, because when the tears come, I feel it in my heart and I know he existed. I know he existed.
You naturally search for clues, you naturally search for anything at all that can bring you some light. And although there was a note found on her, it was very general and it was very much for anybody. And for Niamh not say anything specific to me questioned my relationship with her and questioned how well I knew her and questioned did she love me. You know, so after spending 15 years with her and knowing her in and out, that floored me.
Obviously, this particular room, Niamh was waked in it, you know, and there's lots and lots of people visiting this room. And this particular money box actually sat on top of the wardrobe there right throughout the wake, and up to, I suppose, 6 months after her death. One evening we happened to be up here for various reasons, and I think, Catherine, you saw the money box and said, God, we never opened that.
And it clicked open for him, and there was a note inside, and it was...
Dear Mummy. I think she must have expected us to find it before her burial, because there were certain things on it that we were expected to do at her funeral and afterwards as well. But the fact that we seen Dear Mummy, and immediately both of us were very emotional, and it was a bit of closure in that obviously Catherine felt now that you know it was addressed to her, and I think you always wondered why she had never, you know, actually said it personally to her mother.
Very pure and very innocent and very loving, which is what she was. But it didn't give any real reason, just how much she loved everybody.
It's my privilege to open the ceremony of lights. Tonight's event creates the condition for all those bereaved by suicide, families and friends to meet in a safe, secure environment. We hope that everyone who's come here tonight will get some hope from this evening through the music, from the words, or just being here. And the foundation is here to help you.
Carry all the troubles of the world upon your shoulders. The suffering of others weighs so heavy on your mind. Things you do not have, you cannot give, that's for certain. You gave up your life to help the poorest of mankind, and you cried the tears of children on the dark side of the world, and you feel the pain and suffering of the little boys and girls. You would give all that you had to make a difference to others. If everyone was like you, this would be a better world. And you cried.
Nave's first anniversary, I seen Damien walking up to communion, and my heart just broke. I thought, God, he's here a year later and he's still here. And you only had to look at his eyes to know that he was in devastation. That was the clinching moment for me, that these children are suffering themselves and they're not to blame. They knew no different. There's nobody to blame.
And you cried the tears of children on the dark side of the world.
To help people that felt the way Niamh felt is sort of, so no one makes the same sort of decisions, is really important to me. Living up to her memory, like, you know, making her proud would be one of my sort of strongest ambitions. I suppose one of the reasons she didn't tell me her plans was because she didn't want me to sort of come with her. She wanted me to live my life. So whenever I was at my lowest, I was kind of like looking up and trying to get to that place where she would have liked me to be.
This would be a better world.
Santa's coming. A karaoke machine and a baby warm by your clothes and shoes and adult makeup and adult perfume and surprises.
But I wish that my daddy was here, helping me like open all the presents and all with me. My daddy made the fire about a week or two before he died, and we're all said that we're gonna light it this Christmas.
Tony always had a way of setting the fire, and he always set it well, and it always lit straight away. So when I look at that fire, I can still see him rolling up the paper and putting the sticks and the coal on it. So it'll be a big step for us to light that fire, like it's a year and a half now.
I have cancer a number of years ago. That I just said the big C. Now it's talked about. That's what I want to do. Is talk about and make people feel at ease that they can talk. I know it'll never stop suicide, but if I can reduce it, I'd be happy. In my dying breath, somebody just came up and said, through your actions, it prevented me from doing it. I'd go to the grave happy.
It's the Niamh Louise Foundation. It's not Niamh. Niamh was never called Niamh Louise. Niamh is Niamh. The void and the loss is always there, and it never is replaced by anything. Where there was death, there's now life. Her memory lives on and she lives on, and it's very important to remember her for her, because when somebody dies by suicide, people just remember how they died and the traumatic death. So when I look out here now, I don't see that image anymore. I see, remember Niamh playing out here, and we just admire the beautiful flowers.